You are now listening to NoGYP Journey Radio.
Sure to follow NoGYP Journey on Facebook, Google Plus, and Twitter. Check us out. Join the journey.
This is Gina.
This is Gina.
And you are now
you listen to my daddy.
On NoGYP
Journey
Radio.
Peace.
That's right. This is Gina's daddy coming. Yo, hey. It's a great Tuesday. And I'm still not running yet. I'm getting it together. Slowly but surely, I want to make sure I do it right so I won't injure myself again. And but I had something to say, so I'm at least going to come at you on NoGYP Journey. This is NoGYP, which basically means no, give yourself permission this morning because I didn't keep my word as far as the run. But I'm up and I wanted to share with you. This has been on my mind. But first I want to send shouts out to my elders out in the Chi, in Chicago. Elder Gaylord gave me a call last night to remind me that Elder Nani and Elder Garcia or Albino were in town, and I hope y'all out there kicking it. I wish I could be out there with you, but duty calls, and I'm up here in Columbus doing my thing. So hey, and speaking of elders, man, the thoughts and the thoughts and the advice and the blessing of the elders are a powerful thing. And it brings me around to what I wanted to talk about today, because it's crazy how things align. So going from elders to children, one of the things that I do with my children, especially my daughters, because since I like all these folk tales, I go and I buy on my Audible, I buy books for them as well as myself, so that when they're going to sleep, I could turn on the stories for them. And one of the stories that came out of a book, if you're interested, excellent folktale book, fables, folktales, and some myths, is called Favorite Children's Story, Volume 1, unabridged. And they had one particular story which is going to help us with asking for help. So, many of us, we have desires, we have dreams, goals that we want to accomplish. And oftentimes we find that we are not an island. On this journey, we find out that we are not an island, and we often have to ask for help. But there are certain heuristics, there are certain rules that we have to follow for asking for help so that our endeavor can be successful. And this story laid it out perfectly. All right, so I know this is not folk tales for grown folks, but this is an important piece, and I wouldn't make it around to it for maybe another year or so. So I want it actually longer than a year. So I want to share the information that I got from this story, but I got to kind of go through the story a little bit. So I can't remember the title of the story, and unfortunately on this app, the stories are not listed. They are just, they give the chapter. So I will have to go through about 30 stories to find the title. But I don't need to find the title because I'm more interested in the idea. And I'm more interested in those out there that want the story, in doing the researching and possibly reaching out and supporting the people that put the storybook together, because I believe that people should prosper from good work. So they took the time to put these stories together. And this story in particular is one that I didn't remember the first time I went through the book. But I played it for my daughters, and I sat there and I got caught up in the story. Well, anyway, the story is about asking for help. So it starts off, and is a strange story because it's full of contradictions. You have a king who is poor. You have a king that it doesn't appear through the story he is able to. It doesn't even sound like he's running his kingdom. He has princes and princes and princesses that are in the house, and it doesn't sound like the house is immaculate. And as a matter of fact, the story opened up with the king, who was called the king of manliness, and his wife is called the queen of womanliness, going to the fish market. And he goes into the fish store and he purchases some fish. And he walks by this mysterious lady. And the lady, he didn't see her because she was a fairy, and she followed him out and gave him some instructions. She said that salmon you bought, they was very particular about the fish. The salmon you bought, I want you to offer it to your daughter, because I am her fairy godmother, and I'm going to give you some instructions. So he started asking questions, and all the questions and all the comments that he made, she checked him. You know what I'm saying? This is not for you, basically. This is for her, and she will understand what to do with it. I want you to give her a piece of salmon, and when she finishes the salmon, there should be one bone on the plate. I want you to tell her to take that bone and dry it and shine it to a high luster and keep it with her, because the bone is magical. And the bone, when she acts for a wish, will give her whatever she wants. But, and I want y'all to listen to this, but she must act at the proper time. If she does not act at the proper time, all this is off. Explain this to her, and she will understand. The man didn't understand. The king didn't understand. So he does what the woman says, give instructions to the daughter. The daughter eat the fish. There's a bone left, just like the fairy godmother says. She takes the bone, she shines it up to a high luster, look like they said mother of pearl. And she took it and she put it in the only clothes. Now I want you to remember the contradiction here is that this is a kingdom. He's a king, she's a princess. She takes it and she puts it in her front pocket. So almost the next day, her mother wakes up and passes out immediately and becomes deathly ill. And the little girl looks at the bone and is about to make a wish, but then she says no. So she goes, she gets the smelling salts, and she starts taking care of her mother. And she takes on all the duties of her mother. She's cooking for the kids. She's caring for the kids. She's making sure the kids is dressed. She's making their clothes. She's doing all this. And every day the father would come in and see the mother sick, and he would ask the daughter about the bone. And then she would say, I have it. And he asked, did you forget about the bone? She said, no. And he left it alone. So they didn't have clothes, and he would walk in and he would ask about the bone. And she would tell him that she had the bone and she didn't forget about the bone, and he would keep it moving. Because he was perplexed that this little girl is going through all these hard times over this period of time with this magic bone in her pocket. He couldn't understand. So they run out of clothes. Boom. They're cooking, and the youngest baby falls down and hurt himself. And she nurses him back to health. And as she's nursing him back to health, of course, the father comes in and he asks her, did you forget about the bone? And she's like, no, I didn't forget about the bone, Father. You know. So now the father is at wit's end. The father is dead broke. And he asks about the bone during the hard times again. And he never asks her to make a wish. He just, because according to the instructions and how he was checked by the godmother, he knew that he couldn't interfere. So he sat down at the dinner table and basically started crying out of frustration. And the daughter asked him what's wrong. And he says, well, daughter, we're broke. She says, there's absolutely nothing you can do. He says, no. He said, she asked him, she said, have you done everything that you can do? He said, yes, daughter, I have. He said, well, Father, when you have done everything that you can do, and there's nothing else you can do, then that is when you ask for help. So then she pulled out the bone and she made the wish. Now, that story to me, and I hope my daughters get this, and I hope my sons get this, is very, very key to those of us that's on the journey. When you have done all that you can do, and you can do no more, that is when you ask for help. We're living in a modern time where everything is supposed to be quote unquote easy. You know what I'm saying? Everything is supposed to just be laid out in front of us. There's not supposed to be any struggle. There's not supposed to be any real libations, as we call them on the journey. You don't have to pour those real libations. But the fact of the matter is that we do. And those that don't know what the real libations are, you have 3 levels of libation. You have the lowest one, which is water or alcohol, where you can pour the libations out. You know what I'm saying? You have one even below that, where you can give little food items and stuff as libation. But the 3 highest libations, the lowest, the third one, my fault, you got the 5th and the 4th, the ones I just described. Then you got the 3rd libations, which is sweat. If you have an endeavor and you do not break sweat, you are not working for it. You really don't want it. The next libation that is poured is tears. If you are not willing to shed the tears, if you do not shed tears while you are in pursuit of the thing that you say you want, you don't want it. You understand me? And the last libation is blood. Blood. I ain't saying go make no blood sacrifice, but some of us that have really worked on something that we desire in some form of fashion, we shed blood. Those 3 libations have to be poured. You can pour the other ones. You can get the food off the plate, right? You can pour the water, but until you give those 3 highest libations, nothing will ever work for you. And after, and only after, you have invested those 3 libations into your dream, into your desire, into your goal, only after that, only after you have done all that you can do, and you can do no more, that's when you need to start asking for help. We're so quick to ask for help. We're so quick. I ain't asking for help and asking for guidance is 2 different things. I want you to understand that. Asking for guidance means that you go learn from somebody that has the skills that you need. You know what I'm saying? But the real work has to be done by you. If you want your dreams to come true, if you want your goals to be accomplished, the work has to be done by you. And when you can do no more, that is when you ask for help. And that is the lesson of that story. This is Brother Hatim. I'm on GYP. You know what I'm saying? Well, actually, no GYP. But I just wanted to share that with you. Know when to ask for help. Stop asking so early. Stop, because you'll be surprised. Once you shed those libations, once you pour that sweat into what you're doing, once you pour those tears into what you're doing, once that blood, you know what I'm saying? And it can be metaphorically, because some of you work so hard that in a sense you get blood. Others, you work hard where you start to feel the blood building up around your face. And some of us work so hard that we actually start shedding blood. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's from a nosebleed or while you working on a project, you might cut your hand, it's crazy how it happens. But in some form of fashion, when you dedicate yourself to something, you don't even notice these things. But the universe does. And when you ask for help after you have poured those things, after those things have poured out of you, let's say that, when you ask the universe for that existence, for that assistance, it comes. All right, this is Brother Hatim. I'm out. Keep up with the journey. Check out what we have done in the past. Go to journeyarchives.com. You are now listening to Giami Journey Radio. This is a Heart of a Symbol production. Where we strive to blow up your old paradigm.